Very big welcome to all of our attendees this morning. This morning we are looking at carbon monoxide poisoning, also known as gas Giza syndrome. And why is this so dangerous? We're going to be looking particularly at the gas Giza installations that are being done here in SA, and what are the safety measures that need to be taken, which SANS codes should you be looking for, and as plumbers out in the industry, are you following those SANS codes? Are you recognized as the approved installation authority for these gas geysers? And do you have the documentation ready for your clients, as well as for those health and safety professionals out there that are going to require this of you? So let's take a look at that. This is our final Toolbox talk for this month. We're looking forward to December rapidly approaching us, but we also want to say a very, very big thank you to Rudy Glock out there in the plumbing industry. Thank you very much for your comments and suggestions, Rudy. We really appreciate it. And this is actually because of you, with the information that you brought out to us on carbon monoxide poisoning and why it's so dangerous and why we need this type of awareness. Now, CO2, obviously, or carbon monoxide, is a colorless, odorless, and tasteless gas. Because it is lethal in certain doses, we can obviously see that this is an extremely dangerous gas, or very dangerous poison that could be lurking in and around the installation that we have put in for our clients. Because it's colorless, obviously you cannot see it. It's odorless, so you do not smell it coming on or overtaking you or overwhelming you, and obviously being tasteless, you're not even going to be able to determine your own through sight, smell, hearing, or anything like that, whether this CO2 or carbon monoxide gas is actually in your home. So this makes it an extremely dangerous killer. Now, CO2 or carbon monoxide is produced by burning any sort of gasoline, wood, propane, charcoal, or other fuel like LPG, and this is liquid petroleum gas. Now, all gas geyser installations using LPG gas or natural gas generally has this type of burning inside of it in order to create heat to warm up the water. Now, improperly ventilated appliances, obviously in tight sealed and enclosed spaces, may allow carbon monoxide to accumulate to dangerous levels. So we'll see why this is in the case of geysers specifically, and what should be done, what should not be done when installing these geysers, and what should we be looking out for. If you're a client, somebody purchasing this geyser, if you're a safety professional and somebody has come to your premises to install these geysers, what should you be looking out for? And then as plumbers in the industry, do you know the hazards and dangers of installing gas geysers? Do you know the correct procedures according to your SANS standards, and are you following these in order to ensure a safe installation for your clients? So again, CO2 or carbon monoxide is an extremely dangerous poison, and obviously if it is not correctly installed, or if our appliances are not correctly installed, we could put lives at risk. Now, gas geysers, the use of instant gas geysers in bathrooms to get hot water has quickly become popular, especially here in SA. This is because, in South Africa, electrical supply is erratic. Now, we know that gas geysers as such often have 2 points of ignition. So sometimes you can have a battery backup onto these systems. Sometimes it's connected directly to your actual mains or the actual electricity inside your home. So when the power goes out, your gas geyser doesn't work. Now, there's many different forms or types of gas geysers, but whichever one you install or have installed, do your homework first. And as plumbers, are you ensuring that you are giving your clients the best information regarding the geysers you're installing? And at the same time, are you making them aware of the dangers of gas geysers? Now, it is obviously very popular because it is cost effective. They are pretty simple, they're economical to run. They're also very quick in heating water in bathrooms for bathing purposes. But generally, as a result, there are cheaper models available. Now, these cheaper models for heating water in our bathrooms are sometimes utilized, but they do not follow the stringent safety protocols or safety standards that are set out by SANS. So it could be risky and claim lives if the proper safety measures are not followed with the installation of a gas geyser. Now, we may ask you, do you perhaps have something like this in your home? Are you perhaps installing this out in the industry as a plumber? Again, we're going to ask you the question, do you appreciate the necessary safety precautions that must be taken, not only on the installation, for instance, using the correct tools in the right manner, ensuring you've got your own methodology of installing the geyser and following a proper risk assessment on site. This is the task of installing it. But what about once it is installed? Have we ensured a correctly ventilated environment? Now, some of them do come with flues. These flues, or basically like an exhaust, is normally connected depending on the type or model of geyser that you have. Some of them do not have them. It could be a type A model where it reburns the gas that's inside there already. These are pretty expensive. But as you're getting to the cheaper models, in fact, one model that we saw very blatantly right on the front label, it stated it is illegal to install this geyser inside. And that is because there is not sufficient amount of safety equipment in there, or safety protection features in this type of geyser to prevent the buildup of carbon monoxide in a bathroom, or depending if it's in a kitchen or any part of the home. So if it is illegal to install it inside, why do we still find these cheaper geysers being installed inside homes? Well, there are two problems with this. For one, the cheaper we try and spend or look after our safety, the more incompetent the person installing that geyser is going to become. So we are looking for a cheap source of economic heating of our water, and we do not do our homework first. Then obviously onto the plumbing side, we're going to ask each one of you plumbers to ensure that you've done your homework and that you are purchasing your geysers from a reputable company that comes along with your SANS codes safety features as well. So perhaps you've got an installation in already. Please be aware of the dangers of these types of gas geysers. Now, toxic encephalopathy is a neurological disorder caused by exposure to a neurotoxic organic solvent. What does that mean? Well, it means that your brain is overcome by carbon monoxide poisoning, and because you can't see it, smell it, or hear it, uh, your brain basically gets absorbed within carbon monoxide, and it replaces the oxygen in your red blood cells. Now, there's many different side effects that can happen when you start inhaling carbon monoxide and it starts displacing the oxygen inside of your blood cells. But in the past years, there have been many reports of unexplained loss of consciousness in the bathroom. Now, loss of consciousness could be a lack of oxygen in the brain. So many users of these types of LP gas geysers recovered spontaneously with few having life-threatening after effects. And this is because they went out of the environment of the bathroom, they got fresh air again, and they were able to sort themselves out. But they didn't understand what was actually happening to them. Now, these episodes generally at the hospitals were attributed to seizures such as hot water epilepsy or heat stroke, or perhaps just a stroke because of the person's weight, dietary, cardiac events, maybe because of the person's unhealthy way of living, even vasovagal syncopal episodes. Apologies for the explanations on some of these very medical terminologies. But basically, when somebody was overcome in an unexplained loss of consciousness, it was never attributed to CO2 poisoning. So at the hospital, they were looking at all the other possible causes to a person falling unconscious in a bathroom. But it has been recognized now in many of these cases that this person lost consciousness mainly because of the inhalation of toxic gas, which was CO2, that is commonly attributed to gas installations or gas geysers. Now, gas geyser syndrome and the awareness of gas geyser syndrome or carbon monoxide poisoning is extremely important for awareness to be out there in order to prevent fatalities. This means that people are still dying due to this type of installation. And most of the time, it is because of a poor installation or the incorrect installation of a gas geyser. Now, let's take a look at it from a client's perspective. For myself, I'm not a plumber. I work out in the industry with many of you plumbers on site in order to glean some information on the occupational health and safety aspects. And I've seen installations, I've seen botched installations that you fixed. I've been on audits with many of you, and I've come to understand that plumbing is very intricate. And that's why I appreciate plumbers out in the industry so much. But I also understand that many times there's so much rush or so much work to be done that we do not do all our research first. You see, we trust the word of others, especially our suppliers, and our clients trust our word. And that is because we are plumbers in the industry that are recognized. Many of you are IOPSA members, you've got PRB numbers, and just because we have this, when we arrive at a client, the client automatically trusts that we are going to install and work on their site in accordance, obviously, with normal safety procedures, but at the same time, give quality installations. And so, yes, there are many bucky plumbers out there or plumbers out there that are not recognized, perhaps that have not even qualified. Some are maybe even forging some of their qualifications in order to find work. There's a lot of this type of thing happening, not just in South Africa, but all over the world. But really, as a client, you must also do your research. We do not want to point fingers, rather get the right information. And as safety professionals, those of you who are listening in, obviously you are the ones asking for safety files based on these installations, whether it's been done perhaps in private homes or in the corporate areas where you are actually overseeing the occupational health and safety. Have you asked for the SANS codes or perhaps even the documentation of these installations? Check the correct COC. Even though there is a COC in place, ensure that the installation of the geyser is actually certified and accredited as well. Ask for this type of documentation. We do not want to go down on our quality and up on incidents of fatalities or even unexplained loss of consciousness in the workplace. So what happens when CO2 emissions build up in a bathroom or a kitchen or any inside area that is not well ventilated? Well, geysers which are connected to LPG or liquid petroleum gas cylinders, and the gas inside is a combination of butane and propane. Now, usually on combustion, it produces carbon dioxide with water. So this means that it is becoming safe in order for us to use it. But when it is placed inside of a stuffy bathroom with little oxygen, it results in a release of carbon monoxide. Now, CO, not CO2, which is carbon dioxide, CO, which is carbon monoxide, replaces oxygen as well. And this leads to a lack of oxygen supply to the body and an increased intake of CO. CO displaces the oxygen in the blood and then deprives the heart, brain, and other vital organs of oxygen. Large amounts of the CO2, so obviously continuous use inside the bathroom, can then overcome you in minutes without warning because you cannot smell it, you cannot see it, you cannot taste it, and it will cause you to lose consciousness. Now, while you've lost consciousness, generally you are still breathing. However, there is no more oxygen for you to breathe, and so you slowly suffocate while being unconscious on that floor. Now, this often happens with the altering of temperatures while you are actually using that geyser. So if you're moving the hot and the cold water in order to get the perfect temperature, what is actually happening is an incomplete combustion of this gas. and then it starts emitting poisonous gases such as CO. And this will then obviously cause severe gas poisoning, including carbon monoxide poisoning that can lead to death. So again, we understand that carbon monoxide is extremely dangerous, and at optimal intake, it can cause death as well. So what are the safety features? What are the things that must be done by you plumbers out in the industry, by the safety professionals? What are you looking for? And for any clients that may be listening in, if you are expecting an installation like this, or perhaps even have an installation like this, can you ask for the necessary safety features to be brought to your attention? Now, for one, all LP gas installations must be carried out by a registered gas fitter according to SANS 10087, and any natural gas according to SANS 827. Again, if you want copies of these slides, we can send it through to you in PDF so that you have this information as well, or I can send you to the websites where I did this research. Please get in contact with us at any time if you need any additional information. Now, for guarantee purposes as well as customer insurance purposes, every Giza installation must be accompanied by a COC from a registered installer. So we're going to ask you, are you using a registered plumber? Please take a look at the IOPSA website and maybe see who are the plumbers on the IOPSA website who have been registered and who have the PRB numbers as well. Choose from registered plumbers, those who have obviously been accredited and will issue you a certificate of conformity or certificate of compliance that is regulated by our South African standards. Now, all gas appliances must also be tested and certified for use in South Africa according to SANS 1539. Now, this is generally coming from the supplier of these gas installations or gas appliances rather. So although the installation is carried out by a certain SANS standard, are we purchasing a SANS approved piece of appliance? Again, if you are purchasing this, ask for that guarantee. If you are the safety professional, it might not be part of a safety file, but perhaps we can start adding it in there. Along with the COC, why not have the correct SANS approved certificate that came with that installation? Even if it is not the original, just a copy of this so that you know that that installed geyser is of a high standard. Now, all gas water heater units have flame failure devices. So gas will not run through the unit if a flame is not burning. So oxygen depletion sensors ensure that gas combusts correctly and that overuse of oxygen does not occur. So with many built-in safety devices, gas geysers pose no safety problem if they are installed correctly by a registered LP gas installer. So anything is safe if it is done in accordance with the standards. And we can think of many other instances of all other plumbing installations that are being performed on a daily basis by many of you in the industry. You are doing quality installations, you take pride in your work, and you're working within these tasks in a safe manner. Then you have the confidence to leave that work site knowing that that COC that you are issuing to the client is of a high standard, not just because of the document that you're giving them, but because of the installation that you feel confident in as well. Let us do the same by choosing the correct type of devices and appliances that we are installing. Ensure that they are certified in South Africa according to your SANS standard, and then make sure it is carried out and installed according to the SANS codes as well. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Stay safe out there.